Alright everybody, welcome to another week of Game Wisdom Live for the week of July 28, 2019. There's officially 1 month left of summer here, and we are in the middle of a heat wave, so hopefully this will not be a super long episode, but we'll see how things go. As always, I am Josh Bycer, and for this week we're going to kind of do things solo here, just to mix things up. I spoke to Rob, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll be able to have him come back on. He's still dealing with things work-related. But it has been another crazy week in terms of game industry news and topics to discuss. I think we just broke 4670 subscribers on the channel, so thank you to everybody watching. I hope you're enjoying things. And my goal is I would like to hit 5,000 by the end of the year. We'll see what happens along those lines. But I finally got my lovely little capture card here. I just need to find the time to sit down, install things, and play around with it, which will have to come sooner than later, as I've already had some presentations scheduled to make use of Mario Maker 2 in the fall, on top of all the other stuff I've been doing with calling libraries and such. But I'm not sure what we're going to be playing tonight. I'm still trying to think of a classic game or something to go for. But we're going to be shooting for another multiplayer game night probably next week, with For Honor having a free weekend. So we can all just mess around with trying to, I guess, do some medieval role-playing for the evening. But other than that, I am on the lookout for more developers for podcasts. If anyone has any suggestions or knows somebody, let me know. I can see the internet is acting, kind of just like acted up there for a second there. Not sure what's going on with that. But it's been a very quiet summer so far in terms of big name releases, which pretty much comes with the course, or comes par for the course here. And ideally we'll be seeing a lot of big names coming out at the end of August into probably October, November. But we recently played Wolfenstein Youngblood, and the game did not work for me. I want to have a video I'm going to be doing about role-playing shooter design and combine those two elements later on. Alright, Shark, thank you. Yeah, let me know. And yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with the internet. It could be heat-related. It could just be all the storms we've had on the East Coast this past week. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to... Yeah, I'm going to have to call Comcast when we're all done here, I think. But with that said, though, there hasn't been too much in terms of big game industry news this past week. But there is something that I want to talk about, and this will be a great lead-in, or a great part of our topic. Give me 1 second here. I know. I think they're saying some other words. Let me shut that off. Maybe that will help the stream. But I'm going to go into our lovely little demo view here. Give me 1 second. This popped up on Discord, and it also showed up on Gama Sutra. I thought this would be an interesting thing to talk about. I'm not going to be playing sound at all, because I don't want to be seen like we're just stealing the video. But you can go to the GDC Vault, or just to the GDC site, and you can search for this. But it's a very interesting discussion about early access. And this is something that we've talked about many times over on our various things. But when it comes to early access, we've been having this discussion lately about how soon is too soon to go on to it, how long do you stay on, and things along those lines. And this talk at last year's GDC, or technically this year's, is a really good one in terms of talking about what it meant to go on the long term. And this is the creative director for 20XX. This is a game that we've played on and off. We did a run of it when the game hit 1.0, but they were on early access for quite a bit. And again, I'm not going to play any sound because I don't want to be seen like we're pirating the video. I don't want both GDC and YouTube coming down on me on that one. But I'll be fast forwarding and cutting things out as we get some interesting topics here. But as you can see, they came a very long way in terms of those sales. Day 164 copies. At the time of this video, or at the time of this presentation in March, they had over 200,000 copies sold. between those 4 platforms. And when it comes to a lot of these discussions around early access, it's very hard sometimes to know just how much a game or how well a game is going to do, and more importantly, like, what is the role of early access? And I think that is a very tough one to break down. Because when we look at some games that have gone to early access, it's been more or less as kind of like the final testing ground for the game, such as what Clay Entertainment does, and a few others, in terms of the game's going to be is like 89% done, and then that's about it. And then we're just going to try and do like some final testing. Other developers have gone the route of, here is version 1, the very first public version of our game, and we're going to, let you test it from now until how many years down the line. I'm going to pause it here for a second, so I want to talk about what's on that slide. But yeah, that's, again, another really good point there, Shar, because that list that showed Steam, Switch, Xbox One, and PS4, obviously the consoles didn't get 20XX until later in its development. And it would be interesting to know... Wait a minute, can I turn on subtitles here? Huh. That's pretty cool. Isn't it amazing when you use technology like that, folks? But, yeah, like, when it comes to early access games, again, the consoles aren't really built or really designed around that mindset of developing a game long-term and selling it. We're used to that on the PC side because I can go onto Steam and get those games instantly downloaded and updated. But I know for console releases, they do require specific conditions and rules in terms of how often you can update a game, and especially about selling games that aren't finished, which is technically, according to a lot of consoles, different from the idea of games as a service, which is the game is not done, but it's still in a finished state, and we're just going to keep supporting it, as with Battlefield and so and so. I don't know, Shark. It could be somewhere, but what's the internet anyway? But this is an interesting point here. Let's see if I can get that working. So what he's talking about is the fact that early access was not free for them. And again, a lot of people don't really associate all the costs that come with game development or understand it. And you can see his time there as it went up. And community management is a very big point about early access. And again, it's something that for some developers, it probably comes very easy to them. For other ones, it's probably a nightmare for them. And again, this really goes back to this whole idea of introversion, extroversion, and stuff like that. I'm going to pause it here because I want to talk a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to leave this slide up for a second here. But when you're trying to manage a game on early access, especially if you are a smaller developer, you have to understand that your time is going to be spent interacting with your fans. It's not just, I put this game on early access and then I talk to nobody. Maybe I put a blog post update once every 3 to 6 months. Maybe. And then we just keep going back to developing the game. Yep. That's another really good point there, Shark. And with Chris here, I think that was his name. I'm sorry if I just messed that one up. That for him, he's the designer on the game and he's also doing community management. But many of the kind of, if Mike is watching, he's going to love this. Medium to large indie developers typically are going to have somebody who does community management for you. I know Kid Fox Games has somebody. Definitely Red Hook Games with the Darkest Dungeon. I think there's Introversion when they were doing Prison Architect. That's another good example, and so on. But the point is, you have to be doing your work, or you have to be interacting with people as much as you're developing the game. It's almost akin to Kickstarter, and how a lot of developers felt that when it came to Kickstarter, they didn't like it because of the fact that they were taking away time from development to work on the Kickstarter. But at the end of the day, these are things that you can't just kind of like throw to the corner and hope that things get done. You have to be the person, or you need somebody in charge of it. Now, with that said, if we fast forward a little bit here, this is another one that a lot of developers tend to struggle with, and that is keeping to a schedule. Because as we all know, I'm sure Shark, you will agree with this, that video games run perfectly in terms of game development at all times, and you can just itemize these lists. You know exactly what you're going to be doing every day for the next 2 to 3 years, right? But when it comes to Kickstarter, or I'm sorry, when it comes to early access, you need to be able to set a schedule that not only can you keep your word, as he's saying, but you also have to be able to work around that. Because a lot of developers will promise, we will put out monthly updates every month for the next 3 years and they'll be massive things, and then it doesn't work. Likewise, there are developers who promise we'll have weekly updates to our game, and then they just ran out of steam. And you have to be able to pick something that you know your team can handle. Usually what we've seen, like 2 weeks to about, or a month. Like those seem to be like two of the fairer timetables for a lot of these games. You have to be careful when it comes to long-term patches, meaning we will update this game once every 3 months or once every 6 months. Because if people know exactly, or if people aren't really knowing what's coming down the line or what work has been done, they're going to start thinking that there's something shady going on. This is an issue that Clicker Heroes 2 is running into, that they've been only putting out major updates to the game, I think, once every 6 months. And they also don't really update their Steam forums. They have their own Discord and Reddit. But again, you need somebody to keep everyone updated as to what's happening. Now, I love this idea of them having an update timer over there on the right-hand side. This is something that I know Clay Entertainment has done, as well as Supergiant with their games, that they let people know that something is coming. Hey, Mike. And again, this is all about building trust with your community. That they know that you're not just sitting around, collecting money, and then maybe you'll update this game. Now, again, things can happen when there's an emergency or something comes to upset things, and as long as you inform people about it, they're usually more receptive to it. Prison Architect, I think they may have missed 1 or 2 months of their updates. I think this was because several of the family team members had, they finally had children. Their children were born, so they decided to take a month off from working there. But at the end of the day, though, I think this is a very big point, as you can see. Never promise anything unless you're 100% sure it will happen. And this is something that I think a lot of developers have kind of learned the hard way. That it's different saying we are going to do X, Y, and Z versus saying we could do it, but we'll have to see what happens. This is an issue that we've also have seen many times over on Kickstarter-related games, when developers will literally promise like 10, 15 major updates to their game for stretch goals, and then realize those stretch goals don't work, or they don't get done, and then people are going to be very upset with you. That is true, Mike. I'm going to pause it here for a second. This was an issue that Uber Entertainment ran into with their game Planetary Annihilation. That when they were putting it out, they promised a good, I think it was like 24 or, I wonder if we can still look this up. Let's go on a little field trip, people. Because they promised a lot for Planetary Annihilation. And I'm pretty sure I misspelled that. There we go. But if we look down here, hopefully it will still show that information. Here we go. So let's take a look at all the goals that they had. We have one, or actually, we start over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stretch goals for that game. It pulled in at the end just over $2.2 million for all that. And the problem that they ran into, oh wait, then they did even more. They did a documentary on the game as well. But they had a lot that was going into this game. And the problem that a lot of people ran into is that the Galactic War, when it first came out, wasn't really finished. The game had major optimization issues. And it just suffered in the short run because of that. Now, speaking about another game that went overboard in terms of stretch goals and under-delivering, I think we all remember Stonehearth. Now, I keep forgetting to click on campaign. But let's take a look here. So they hit their, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 13, 14, 16, 18, 19. Oh, I'm sorry, and then an additional 20 stretch goals for Stonehearth there. And I know that not every one of these goals made into the final release of the game. And that is a very big risk you run into with with Kickstarter. Now, when it comes to early access, you also have to be careful with what you promise in terms of what is coming into your game. As you all know, for early access titles, you do get that lovely little info pane that shows, what are we planning? How much is this game going to be? What's in the game now? And so on and so forth. But again, you have to understand that you cannot lie to people about early access. I know that's a very big pro tip for the developers watching this right now. But as he says right here, again, players just like honest developers. And it's better to make a mistake and own up to it than just, lie through your teeth saying that it's coming, and then it never happens. And again, this also goes back to having a really good person who's doing community management. Somebody who can soften the blow and can also handle it when you do get people who are upset. Because no matter what you do, you're still going to have people who are going to be annoyed if you underdeliver. But again, it's all about how you present that information to them. I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. There we go. And again, this goes back to that first point, that at the end of the day, somebody needs to be interacting with the community. Exactly, Shark. But when it comes to the relationship of developers and between the developers and the community, it's important for the community to know that you're listening to them. And that's a really smart point right there, that if you're going to help or you're going to take a suggestion, let people know that you're listening to them. I'm not sure what this thumbnail is supposed to mean right there. Ready to shuffle. Keep early access sexy. There's a really good tip right there. But you always want people to know that you are not only working on the game, but that you're actually listening to them. And he's going to have a few slides coming up. Let's see, that he's going to be talking more about. I'm going to keep going here. Oh. Yep, so there you go. Ration out non-critical ones, but if there's issues that are big, that people are complaining about, or that's affecting how somebody's enjoying your game, you kind of want to make sure those are taken care of. Because if people are complaining about something now, chances are they're going to be complaining about it again in a month, 2 months, and so on and so forth. And again, this is one of the major points around early access. That if you can find critically polarizing or damaging issues with your game before its release, if you fix them, then the consumers who are buying your game at 1.0 won't have to deal with it. Because you don't want people to buy a 1.0 version of your game and have it be horrible. Hey, Dragon, we're talking about early access. And this GC presentation has talked more about some of the finer points of it. Now, for this, he is, of course, referencing everybody's favorite game, Mighty Number 9, which at some point I do want to play for kind of like the sheer, the car crash of watching how that game, or train wreck of that game turning out. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. And these are some lovely comments from people about negative feedback. That's always a good thing. I believe my ear just popped. That's not good. Hold on 1 second. Good, I'm hearing a ringing in my ears. Exactly, Shark. And sometimes you do have to pivot when things happen like this. But yeah, we definitely need to have like a formal podcast talking about the importance of feedback and be able to process it. Maybe I'll get John back on for that one. Because you're going to have people who are going to rip your game apart. And as we've talked about on previous casts, that it's your job as a developer to take it. You can't just ignore somebody just because they say your game is bad or it sucks. And we're going to fast forward a little bit here. Aww. But yeah, it's important to get people, there you go, early access fans. And I'm sure for developers watching this, you have your own. Oh, is it that bad? Oh yeah. Yep. Well, it looks like I'll be making a call when we're done here. But it's always important to have a group of people who are going to kind of test the rough versions of your game out there. But I think with that said, you have to be careful about how many people are actually going to look at it and what this group is going to be examining. Because at the end of the day, though, you want to be really careful about hiding major stuff away from your fans, especially on early access. And this is an issue that we've seen some developers run into, where they will keep major game-changing content until the game hits 1.0, but not show it to their wider early access fan base. We'll pause it here for a second. Because what ends up happening is that you're going to have a game or have a feature that isn't being given the full testing, and then you release your game to find that there's greater issues to it and more than your smaller group of kind of closed testers are going to notice. This was kind of the issue that a lot of people had with Darkest Dungeon when they released the final quote-unquote Darkest Dungeon level, and that was saved exclusively through... Has it gone downhill, Mike? I haven't been there in a long time. But the issue with Darkest Dungeon they ran into was that the final dungeon had to be balanced, and a lot of people had complaints about it, that if they would have released that as kind of like a final test before the game at 1.0, that would have saved at least a little bit of some release grief on their parts. And with Aratus coming out, I think, in next year, I wonder if they're going to do the same thing, that they're going to save like the final level and not really get too much testing done on that. But I'll put that back on for everyone here. Actually, just so I don't forget, really fast, I was right, his name was Chris. That was good. I didn't call him the wrong name earlier. Fast forward here a little bit. Yeah. And again, this was an issue that that Clicker Heroes is running into, that they keep a lot of their updates from, or a lot of the updates to their game on their private server or their private discussions on Reddit. And the rest of the community is kind of wondering what's going on with this game. And you have to, again, make sure that a lot of people who are looking at your game, like the closed people, that updates will still come out to the general public or your general early access. Yep. And again, you always want people to know that that you are doing work to your game. Now, of course, you have to be careful, though, and this is an issue, I'm going to pause it here, that we're seeing a lot more developers run into lately. When it comes to kind of your veterans interacting with your general people or the regular ones. Because we've been seeing cases where veteran players will attack any criticism of a game. And that is a very big no-no. And it's something that, as developers, you have to keep an eye on for your games, especially if you're trying to grow the community. With titles such as, what was it? Like, Araz has seen this issue. They Are Billions is a very big point about this. That when people complain about difficulty and having quality of life issues, the veterans are going to jump on them. Like, hyenas attacking like a meat bear, saying, oh, it's not the game's fault, you just suck. Thank you, Shark. Exactly with that point there. And as developers, you have to kind of step in there. And it's something that I think is going to be seen more and more of, or a greater discussion as time goes on, with the idea of how the developers kind of run their forums or their chat is kind of what sets a precedent for how people talk in it. There was a discussion about that game, what was it, Mordo, Mordeau, and how developers were kind of silent about people saying very racist and inflammatory content. And as a developer, you have to understand that that is also sending a message. And I know we kind of were discussing about, the whole, politics in games and that kind of discussion. But at the end of the day, I think the important point is that silence is still an answer in these cases. Uh-oh. Did we lose the stream? Are we back? It seems like we're stable now. Oh, good. Cutting in and out again. Oh, I can see it. Yep. I'm going to have to give him a call after this. Yeah, I can see it's going in and out there. It's kind of good then that I didn't get you on, Shark, because that will have been additional bandwidth being taken away, too. But yeah, as a developer, you have to kind of put your foot down, say, whether or not you're going to allow people to talk about these things and not to jump on somebody for leaving criticism. Because again, they are billions. I'm sure Mojo, if he's watching, can attest to this. Like, that forum, literally, every time somebody says this game is too hard, it's like the same group of people saying, no, you just suck. Get this back here. Yeah, so again, you have a community page, and that links right to their forums. They went to Discord eventually. This was, again, earlier in their development there. Yeah, and probably don't want to put your email directly on there. You have to be careful about how much information you give out. Likewise, don't put your phone number on your game's page. That's just asking for trouble there. I guess, Shark, do you want people to call you about Project Triad when the game's in early access? Alright, then we have interact efficiently. I'll fast forward a little bit here. Oh, let me get right back to it. And yeah, it's important to keep a database as to what these issues are, of course. I know Arkin uses, I think, Mantis. At least they used to. This is probably a very big one right here. That if somebody's saying they like your game, you should probably respond back to them. Now, I would argue there's one thing I would change here. That if there isn't a response, like let's say it goes more than 24 hours, how about you put it on when you put the game, like every time you do like a beta, just put your phone number on that page. And your social security number too, just to make sure everybody knows exactly who you are. But I would argue that if they don't respond, then you should respond, in their place. Like there should always be a response. You shouldn't just leave these responses empty like that. Oh, my voice is really dying on me. Then we fast forward a little bit more. Yep. Yeah, if you're getting like 20, 30 pages, of course, Shark, can I have that too? If you wouldn't mind. Put it in the YouTube chat right now. I'm sure nobody will make use of it. But this is a very big one right here. I'll pause it again. That if you're seeing like a thread of like 20, 30, 50 pages long on your Steam page or whatever, you probably want to leave a comment on there about it. Oh, sorry about that. Especially because what usually happens in those discussions is usually one of two things. Either A, there's a massive discussion about possible ideas or suggestions for your game that, thank you, there we go, that could be very useful for people, or could be very useful as feedback. Or option B, there's a huge flame war going on. People are yelling and screaming at each other, and somebody needs to kind of deal with that on your forum. Because I'm sure nobody ever gets into arguments on Steam, right? But let's fast forward a little bit more here. Unless they're negative Steam reviews. This is one that I don't know. Like, this is something that I don't have experience with. I think, Shark, you may know about this more than I would. About how much does responding to a negative Steam review actually changes things. Like, I know what he's saying down there, that what was it, 25% are flipped after a developer responds to them. But it can be, I think, very time-consuming depending upon the game. Again, if your game only has several hundred copies sold, that's a different story than saying if you have hundreds of thousands of copies and there's a lot of negative reviews. But it seems like something that, again, it shows that you're willing to put in that effort and talk to people about it. Don't you love that right there? I played it for over 2,500 hours, and I don't recommend this game. Developers love that when that shows up, right? But yeah, here are their criticisms, or the bulk of the reviews that came in for 20XX. And again, as we were saying earlier, it's important to be able to process feedback that comes in. Because again, there's no game that's going to be getting like perfect feedback. I don't like this fight because the game's balance is off and you should adjust these numbers. No, they're going to say this fight sucks, it's overpowered, your game is garbage. And like when we spoke with John Brieger about this, again, it's the developer's job to be a detective when it comes to their feedback. And you have to be able to parse that information out. And yet, it is fair to respond to these games, or respond to these reviews. Now, we're almost done here. Yep. And again, you can't really let your emotion guide you when you're responding to criticism. as we've seen many times in the past when developers will rant and rave. And I don't know, this is one of those very weird points. Because, again, like, if you're being yelled at by people, or metaphorically yelled at, and you're kind of forced to keep a calm head about it, that can be tough for a lot of people. But on the other hand, it always comes back to if you yell at somebody who's yelling at you, then that becomes a news piece and fodder for many people on YouTube to do hit pieces on you about. Discount it. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Hone your evaluation skills, another really big point. And let's see. I think we're just about done here. So I'll fast forward a little bit more. Oh, and here's something for the people who want to talk about putting online into every video game. That if you're a small team, you're not going to get network play working just by yourself. You need people to be going over it, you need to be testing how the servers work, and it is a lot of work to make your game online or multiplayer capable like that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Or people will accuse you of attacking a fan, or that you're too, what's the term? You're too involved with the project. And and then of course, then that information gets sent to a YouTuber, then does a 20-minute hit piece about how you're a horrible developer, or you're attacking your fans and stuff like that. Let's see. Some more information for everybody. But yeah, that is the presentation. I would love somebody remind me. Yeah, I definitely saw that one, Shark. But yeah, somebody remind me I should send 20XX an email, see if they'd like to come on for a podcast. Because it's always great to talk to developers who kind of went through, the whole warfare of early access and succeeded. Because sadly, we've seen many developers who don't work along those lines. I'm going to switch back over to me for a minute. There I am. Because I think that's all she wrote for that one. It is a quiet day tonight. I wonder if the internet issues are messing with things, or just everybody is too hot to come on. But when it comes to early access like this, again, it's not something you can just throw away in terms of, I'm just going to put my game on it, and then I'm never going to look at it ever again, kind of thing, until the game is released. You have to work on it and make sure that everyone on your team is understanding that you're going to have people poring over your game. And for some games like that, it is incredibly helpful, as it was with Duskers, and even the Darkest Dungeon. Wow, my mouth is dying on me there. But the problem when it comes to developers who kind of fail in early access is that they don't do a lot of updates. They don't really look at their community as kind of a resource. And they kind of treat it as just a way of making money before their game is even done. And if your game fails on early access because of that, that pretty much dooms your development going forward, because who's going to want to trust you with another game down the line? It's the same point as with Kickstarter. If you do a Kickstarter game and then you fail to deliver, who's going to really trust you with their money again? And I hate to sound mean like this, but I do wonder what's going to come of the Stonehearth developers, and kind of where they're at now with the fact that they kind of ended that game early, or they quote-unquote abandoned it without doing all their updates. It's now mostly positive, though. Let's see, when was their last update to it? That's weird. I can't see any updates on their page anymore. Let me see here. Oh, one of the very first threads on Stonehearth is this game dead? Hmm. You know, next week, Shark, if you're free or we can get a developer on, I want to talk about this myth of abandoning finished video games, because it's something that's been bothering me, and just doing like a talk by myself about it, I don't think is going to give it enough credence. But yeah, somebody remind me, that's going to be our topic for next week's live show. But with that, let us move to our Weird Games segment and see what's coming out down the line. Hopefully I remember to keep it up here. I'm excited for August 2nd. There's a game I really want to play. Start doing research now, Shark. Alright, let's see what we got here. Ball Boy. That was not what I was expecting. That's the character model? It kind of looks like it was done in Unity to me. Not bad, not like standout either. I thought the designer's curse was trying to release your game after a 5-year development cycle. Oh, wait a minute. This sentence is hurting me. Hope you guys can see it when I highlight it. Influential old Amnesia is an old school horror game. I need to stop for a second. I think my sanity just took a hit there. Oh no. I cannot make anything out on that screenshot. What about you guys? Let's see. Very plain looking environments. Oh, he's got 3 eyeballs. Oh no. It's the same screenshot of this one wall. This is like me when I only show this one thing behind me. But there has been an update to my, I guess, studio if you haven't noticed it by now. That's a really good point there, Dragon. What is considered new school horror if Amnesia is considered old school? This guy's copying my style here, and that's not good. Zeminator? What the hell? 222 Tea Party. Deploy T. I never used the term deploy. Wait. Block weak obstacles? There's a lot of wrongness in that sentence. Push objects to gather coal to slow the time? I don't think either English is not their first language, or somebody's been getting to the T when they wrote this. Wait. You'll have to deploy tea to customers through the train to stand against cruel God? What? Angels will try to prevent tea spread, and you'll fight with them to get back mouths to people. Did everybody get that? What the hell? These colors are starting to hurt my eyes a little bit. At least he's smiling. I wonder if that game for Josh will get a sequel. That's what I really want to know. What will the sequel of that game be called? Yeah, let's not click on that one. Tricky Cow? What's this? Harvests was all the fun. Wait. There's a lot of genre terms in that paragraph here. It's a strategy game, resource management, base building, epic combat, but it's also a real-time strategy game, a top-down shooter. Okay. There's not a lot of screenshots showing what they're talking about here. Okay. Oh, it's going to be on early access, too. Sounds like we're combining genres. Thank you, Shark. Oh, there's another Warhammer game. Merchant of the Skies. Not bad pixel graphics there. Feed the Fish God. What do we have? You're captain of an airship. Is an experimental game. Does not capture the feeling. Sandbox gameplay where you try to run a airship business. That looks interesting. I don't know how experimental it will be, but there's a giant carrot with a top hat on it. I'm afraid so, Mike. I think there's still plenty of people who enjoy doing that. This one doesn't look too bad. I'm getting like a Sunless Skies kind of vibe out of it, but if they can make it a lot more playable for new players, there could be a market for that. I'm going to put it on there. Plus, we need more like airship style games too. Brutal games. How brutal is it? In the royal battle, really? Again, it looks very generic. This looks like the model from GoldenEye right here, the AK. We looked at Cryptographer already. Muon Year Zero is getting a expansion to it. What? What the hell is this? What? Oh, I forgot to tell you, when I was at the GamerCon, they had a room about pretending to storm Area 51. I'm kind of happy I'm missing what's going on with that. Oh my. What the heck is this game about? Okay. Here's the North Sea. Why does this sound familiar? Huh. So it's based off a board game, eh? Doesn't look too bad. Again, I'm just not a big tabletop person, so I don't have too much experience with it. You want me to join on the Area 51 raid, Shark? Oh, what is this? Huh. I actually own this game for the 3DO. Think that real video zombies. Yes, the Tom, what was it, Tom Zito Productions. They did Sewer Shark too. Maybe, Mike. Oh, good. That's lovely. I know these graphics are super realistic. I kind of want to put in a press request for this and run through it on stream as kind of like a classic game. And I wonder if they'll re-release a Mercenary at some point. Alright, I'm doing it. Well, it'll be pretty easy to shoot these enemies with a mouse instead of having to use the 3DO controller. And they're going to bring back any other one of these games. Because for those of you who don't remember, FMV was going to be the future of the game industry back in 1994. Alright. 2 more pages and I think that's going to do it. Kindergarten 2. I think I've heard of that one. Flowerless Gardenia? I'm assuming that's a visual novel game. There's that Capcom Go game. Which one? Tower... Ooh. Looks like a RPG. Or start of an action game. Fight your way up an elusive tower. Play 4 different stories. Boss focus, eh? 4 playable bosses. 17 fightable bosses. Control 4 different characters. Why is he a bunny rabbit? Snickle Fritz? That is a name. I do love a good boss rush. Plus, Cuphead's DLC is still nowhere to be found. Yeah, I thought it looked like a generic, like a party, like a multiplayer party kind of game, like Smash, or that duck game. Barney's Dream Cruise? It's an indie game without any financial backing. I can't tell if this is... I know there's adventure game like engines or editors out there. Can't tell if this is using one of them. Looks okay. Question the bunny rabbit. The Executioner. What is this? Wait. Traditional text-based interface unfolding over 20 hours. Wait. That doesn't sound... I don't think that's synesthesia. Isn't that the melding of your senses? That doesn't make him a walking lie detector. The artwork has kind of like that dark, brutal look to it, which is nice. What? We get experience in cannibalism. That's good. Oop. I don't know. It looks like it would be an interesting game, but on the other hand, I don't think this will be one that would be kind of stream friendly. Cows mooing. You know what? The game. Wait. How's it being released episodically? That's kind of weird. Alright. We'll see what we get. It sounds like an interesting idea. Maybe worth doing a video on. I did play Fear and Hunger, too. Dude Simulator. Is this Dude Simulator game is still not out yet? Oh, Rap Simulator. There we go. All of you guys watching this right now, you want me to get this one, right? You want me to become a hip-hop rapper, right? Change the history of hip-hop. What is this? Wait. I guess, question for you, Shark. Is this something like developers would would need? Like, I guess if you're trying to do like a tooling, or if you do a lot of like a tweaking like hardware, maybe. I don't know. I've never been too much into like tweaking my hardware. Layers of the Machine. Dark sci-fi and cyberpunk. Wait. What's the gameplay? It's basic sniper and basic stealth. We all know I love my stealth gameplay. Oh. That looks like it could hurt your eyes after a while if you're just staring at that color. Cthulhu's Catharsis. Say that 10 times fast. Get that. What? I don't know a thing of this one. Ooh. What? Fix an... Find out to fix the air conditioner without having the fear of frying your own unit. Well, we have been looking for more simulations. I don't think you guys want to see that one. A lot of stuff is coming out in the final days of July, aren't they? Mighty Gunvolt. Why does that sound familiar? Wait, isn't this a series that came out? And aren't these developers of Mighty Number 9? Oh. They did a remake of Blaster Master. Okay then. Huh? As we all know, I never played any platformers, so maybe that will be my first. Oh, cool, Mike. I think I saw somebody at the GamerCon had like an old Commodore 64 and Atari console there. The Cross horror game. Wait, you're trapped in a haunted house in Florida. Books. The game features books. Wait a minute, it's the same kind of hallway here. Except those windows aren't boarded up. I also like how this horror game features no enemies in the thumbnails. I think that has to be a rule. If you're making a horror game, you have to show off at least one monster in your thumbnails. Soko Loco? Tower of Beatrice. It's coming out on all the platforms. But I'm not sure what the game is. It looks like it's a puzzle game. Thank you, Shark. Well, Shark's, for those of you watching, Shark's the one who's making fun of Florida, not me. Etna City. Maine. What does that mean? Not constrained by the laws of physics. Oh, I guess you can build on a cube. I don't know. Looks okay, but I'm not sure exactly where the depth is for the city building. Other than you're building all which way and around. Oh, not another match game. Rogue Heist. Okay, seriously, how many games are being released the next, 3 days of July right now? Something is very off here. Defending territory. Everything is coming out in the next 4 days. Also, this is a really great point. Again, in terms of the market being flooded with games, how many games have we just scrolled down that are coming out in the next 4 days? Let's see, there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So that's 20 a page. We looked at about 5 pages, so that's 100 games being released in the next 4 days. Well, now 120. The game is yours. I'm afraid to click on this one. Oh wait, we're finally out of July. Thank you. What the? Wait. What the heck is this? Wait. Why are they trying... Yeah, this is Keymailer. Why are they re-releasing Hello Neighbor? Oh, we're going on a little tour here. Oh, they're going to be free. I don't know why they're doing that. Okay. Maybe just to show it off? That would just confuse a lot of people there. I'm not going to say that title because I'm afraid that may get me flagged. Ooh, Amsterdam. Ooh. What? This is kind of like a mobile game. There's our runner. Yep, swing, beat, swipe, and tap. That's not too bad of an animation. Alright. Alrighty then, let me get back over here. So, it's a little bit after 6. We started late. I was thinking about trying that thing with having people come into the room on Discord to ask me a question. But, I don't know. Are you guys... Yeah, me too. You guys interested in a quick AMA section, or we can wrap things up for this week? So you guys have any questions you want to try and stump me on? Because it seems like it's been a very quiet night. Yeah. Maybe we'll just wrap it up for this week, and we'll try the having like the call-in for next week. Because we're gonna probably spend the bulk of our time talking about the whole idea about games being abandoned. It's gotten less, but I still occasionally get a demonetized video that I have to review or send to them for a review on. I don't know, like, there are people who I know love the Fire Emblem series. It just never really took to me. I think I liked Advance Wars more than I did Fire Emblem. I tried playing the last, not the last one, the one before that. The 3DS one that was like 3 different releases. And I just really bounced off hard on that one. It did not work for me. Let's see, which Fire Emblem was it? Let's see. Was it Fire Emblem Warriors? I think it was that one. Fire Emblem Warriors. No, that wasn't it. How long has it been? Oh, here it is. I think it was Fire Emblem Fates. That's one that I tried playing. And just did not work for me. I own several of them. Well, they're now on the Switch. There's a GameCube one that I also played. It's such a very weird thing about that series, because you would think that I would love that idea of it, because I enjoy like Tactics Ogre and the Ogre Battle franchise. Huh. Maybe we'll play that for the classic night. I own Awakening, and I don't think I actually had a chance to play it. But I really miss Advance Wars. Fire Emblem Awakening, that was the one that saved the series, if I remember right. Yeah, that's right. That was the one that they only had one chance. But it's classic game night, Shark. Is Chromasia 15 years old yet? It could feel like it's been 15 years since you started developing it. Yeah, it's something about Fire Emblem. Like, I think it has to do with that whole idea of like that kind of like XCOM layer to it, but you're dealing with linear maps. Like, it always felt like a franchise to me that you really had to game the system to really play. And I don't know, like, Draken, you may know this more than me at this point, or the fans. That did they move away from that with some of the layer entries? Like, to me, it always felt like if you didn't play it right from like mission 1, you were going to lose. Like, you were going to not build like your characters up right, or if you didn't properly farm like your weakest character turn into your strongest one, that you were going to lose out. I remember playing like the original Fire Emblem, that came out over here. That would be in 2003. That was the first one that I played. I remember getting a really nasty experience when I got to the final level, but because I didn't properly spec my characters, that I lost, and all that time was basically gone. Maybe that's why that series has just never worked for me. That you have on one hand, it's supposed to be you have complete freedom in terms of character building, but on the other hand, you have linear maps. It's kind of like that same issue we see with They Are Billions, that the campaign is linear, but they give you complete freedom to choose what perks and buffs you get. So if you choose the wrong ones, you're screwed. And again, like, it's fine in XCOM by the fact that it's non-linear maps, so that I don't have a set strategy. Also, speaking about XCOM, we need more developers to copy Shadow of War in terms of the the Nemesis system. You know, we should have played that. We never played that on stream. Shadow of Mordor. Like, how much is Shadows of War right now? I said we're going to wrap it up early, and now we're on one of our little chests or little quests here. What the heck? Hold on here. This just popped up on Steam for me. It's a game called Kubi Factorium. What? Sounds like they're trying to copy Factorio here, but with the voxel graphics. It was inspired by games like Factorio, Numeria, The Settler, Stonehearth, and RimWorld. I'm going to pull this one up on as a very impromptu game here. See, folks, you never know what's going to happen on these live shows. We say we're going to end it, and then I decided to do something else. Well, since August 2018, it's been development since late 2017. It was a Kickstarter game. So, I'm going to price differently. And can anyone... how do you pronounce that? Kubi Factorium? Looks interesting. And that game, Idle Town. Idle... what was it called? How many games do I have Idle? No, it wasn't Idle then. Something Town. Factory Town. There we go. Wonder how that one is doing. It's still being developed. Either I end early or I run an extra hour long. That's how it works around here. They're doing late game stuff. That Kingdoms and Castle game. How is that doing? They're still doing updates to it, right? Oh, I'm still trying to get Rami Ishmaeli on from Vlambeer. Well, that's good. I forgot where the letter K is in the alphabet. That's always a good sign. Let me go back up to here. Yep, there's still betas going on. I remember somebody saying if that game is dead. Kingdoms and Castles was really good. It's a game that I think I need to spend more time on. The same goes for Factorio. Oh, that's right. I just remembered. Anno is getting their first DLC update this week. I'm going to put in for a press request for that Kubi Factorium. Let's see. I would love. And south is next to northeast, right? Who else do we have? I sent an email to the developer for that Fear and Hunger. I haven't heard anything back. I also decided to bug the Dream Machine developers again. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I would love to get Blue Byte on. If anyone knows like somebody who works at Blue Byte, I would love to get them on for an Anno discussion. And just like the Anno games will probably last 6 to 10 hours. Also, I'm in the mood to get Ramin back on for another cast. I want to talk about endgame free-to-play design, which will probably be 3 hours right there. Let's see, I wish I had more connections at Ubisoft. Maybe I'll bug their press contact again, see if I can get a hold of somebody from Blue Byte. Somebody else I'd like to get on would be the developers of Hyper Light Drifter, too. And I still have to set this up. Oh, I recorded a part of the state of the channel for July. I'm also going to show off the 10 podcasts I picked for the Josh boxes. So I think I want to get those mailed out. And get that, and then see what people think about it. They changed their press page. Oh, that's nice. Alright, I'll have to do some of this. Yep. We did talk to him. Jamie Freestrom? Was that his name? R. Pince? Tomo, yeah. Well, I'll put the word on the Discord as well for any developers who are following me there. Yeah, whatever happened to Energy Hawk? I don't think it did well, sadly. Where is it? 6 out of 10 on Steam. People complain that it didn't feel finished. I found the controls just very cumbersome, which in a game that's built around swinging and like physics momentum like that is not a good sign. When is the last update? Yeah, there hasn't been any updates on the forum since 2017. So I don't think there's too much about that. Alright. Well, I think we'll end things here before I go on another 40-minute long rant. But yeah, I'm going to send... see if I can find some more information from Ubisoft, because I really do want to talk to Blue Byte there. And yeah... Well, Energy Hulk was released. Like, it hadn't officially 1.0. Oh, somebody else I want to talk to again. Chris Hecker, who's been doing Spy Party for the last decade. Oh, that may actually be a really good one to talk about long-term game design. Or long-term, like, releasing that game. Because that has been on early access. Like, super long. He's been developing that game. I talked to him, like... 5-6 years ago, and I haven't spoken to him since. And he did that game, The Ship, as well. Are video games art, Shark? What do you think? Or, what is an indie developer? Shall we talk about that one right now? Alright, well, I got some work to get done, I guess, before our stream tonight. But, guys, thanks for tuning in as we went rambling on at the end. We'll be back next Sunday. Shark, I think I'll have you back on. We'll talk about abandonware, or for the abandoned topic for 8 hours, and we'll see how that one goes. But thank you for everyone who is enjoying the content here. Again, check out the Discord and Patreon link down below. And we'll be back later tonight for some classic game stream. I'll have to see what I have on deck. But thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great rest of Sunday, and I'll see you all later.